YouTube, it's Tracy from Entrepreneur Girl, and today is Tracy's Tuesday Tips, and we're going to do a Q&A session answering a bunch of questions that I got just this past week. Thought that everybody would have these same questions. Also, some of them are coming in 2 or 3 times about the same subject, so I thought we would just do a periodic Q&A session here on the YouTube channel that would address some of these comments that I get. I do try to answer all of them personally. Just as it gets more and more, it's been harder and harder to keep up, but I promise that I'm trying, and I will eventually get to your comments and your questions. For the startup budget, I wanted to know how much outgoing shipments to FBA can cost on average. Okay, Amazon FBA shipments on average take a lot of factors into place. Like one of them would be where you're shipping from, your location, and the second one would be what warehouse you're sending to and the distance between the 2 points. So I live in South Florida. A lot of my shipments tend to go to Amazon warehouses in Kentucky and Indiana. So that's kind of the distance that you can, calculate in your head. And I normally ship about 40 products per box. Now, the cost for me, my calculations is 25 to 50 cents per item. So that is what I calculate when I'm doing my scanning app and I'm scanning for a product. You have to add that because a lot of times the scanning apps, won't include one, your FBA Pro seller account, right? So that $40 a month is not calculated in your, Amazon app. And the cost to ship to the Amazon warehouse. So in my head, I'm already calculating about an extra 50 cents per product for my shipping and for my Amazon fees because they're minimal, but you still don't want to be surprised by them, especially if you're just starting out and every cent is counting. So you do want to kind of be mindful that they're there, right? So that's about the best way that I can say for outgoing shipments because, how many items are in your shipment and where is it going to? So it's all going to be different based on those factors. I've noticed any patterns about what types of items usually get placed together to go to one warehouse or to various warehouses. I haven't noticed any patterns. Like the Kentucky warehouses are mainly books. My guess would be that they want a variety of products in every warehouse so that if someone places an order in Tennessee, that the Indiana warehouse would be able to ship to Tennessee with that 2-day free shipping with ease and having that product. If the products are of that type are all in California, it's going to be harder for them to, make sure that they don't have any problems with that 2-day free shipping. So my guess would be that they try to keep a variety of all ASIN numbers in every warehouse. So I don't think there would be anything like that. Anytime I put multiple items together, like in one of my videos, you saw that I was doing the disposable diapers and I had a bunch of them because I pretty much cleaned out the Goodwill store that I found them in. And they've been selling, a little bit here and a little bit there, and they just been kind of, gradually leaving the warehouse. But I had a quantity of, just, I don't know, 50. So if you place more than one of the exact same UPC number in your shipment, more often than not, it's going to be divided into different shipments going to different warehouses. So what I tried to do to eliminate that as much as possible is if I had multiple items, multiples of the same item, then I would just keep a pile by my computer and I would just add one to each box that I sent to Amazon. And that really seemed to control the times that it was separated. Almost always, if I list more than one of the same product, they are going to send it to different warehouses, and it's not worth it. And so I don't stress about it. It takes, 2 seconds, to add a listing when you're not creating a new listing. So I wasn't worried about the time that I would spend each box. I would just do that because that little bit of time was so worth the shipping and the extra boxes and the extra hassle that it was to ship to numerous locations. How much could one shipping plan potentially cost? Think of the ranges for the shipping plans. If you have one item, like say a book that they have separated into a warehouse, it can be as little as $3. If you have just under the 50-pound mark, it can be, I'm thinking the most expensive one I've had is probably $30. So I would say $3 to $30, with the average probably being 20-ish.
That's like a work bag. A work bag.
I have to get a work bag?
Yes.
What's that?
To put stuff in it.
Oh, like a backpack?
Yeah.
Oh, so when you go to work, you put stuff in your backpack?
No, like those things with handles.
Briefcase.
Yes.
Oh, I need to get one of those. What's the smallest amount of goods, the smallest shipping plan that should ever be sent into FBA so one isn't losing money on shipping? Okay, that's a great question, because if they divide my shipment into different locations, normally what happens is there will be one shipping plan that has a lot of different items, say 35, and then they might ship 3 off into this other warehouse and then 2 off into this other warehouse. And when I first started, it was just easier to keep it all straight, to go ahead and accept the shipping plans and go ahead and ship them off. What I learned throughout time, however, is it's totally not worth it, because the items that you're shipping by themselves, say a book, and it's costing you $3 to $5 to ship that book. Well, sometimes a book, that's all you have in your margin, right? Because sometimes books have a very small margin. And so you're eating it, whatever you have, or you're greatly minimizing it by shipping that book off by itself. So instead of spending $3 to $5, I could be spending a quarter to ship it. So what I now do, if that happens, is I delete that part of the shipment plan. I will just delete that book from my shipping plan altogether, and I will just save it for the next one, because you should be sending in Amazon boxes all the time. I mean, that's the whole point, is to be shipping in inventory so that you can be making enough sales that you can live off of. So in order to do that, you need to be getting the inventory, you need to be feeding the beast, you need to be getting it to the Amazon warehouse, because you can't sell something that's not there. So I'm shipping boxes off all the time. You should be too. So you have 2 options. Either you can delete it from your shipping plan and ship it later, or 2, you can watch my video where I talk about how to change the settings so that you can ask that all of your items be sent to the same warehouse. And that cost, I think, is 30 cents per product to do that. And the FBA Pro account charge, are there any other fees Amazon charges to the credit card up front? How many months does Amazon initially charge for the Pro account? Okay, when you first sign up, you should be given the option to do 1 month for free. And I really like that, because it gives you 1 month to be sending in as much inventory as you can. So that way, by the time you're getting that charge, you're also making some sales. Now, your Amazon account is attached to a checking account. So if you have a business checking account, it should be attached to your business checking account. You do not have to have a company in order to have a professional Amazon FBA selling account. You can sign up with your name, like Tracy Smith, and I can sign up with my social security number. You do not have to have an LLC and an EIN and all this stuff. You can add that later, but you don't have to have it to begin. So don't sweat that. You're $40 a month. You're going to be charged for that. And you're also going to be charged for any shipping. I'm going to have to pay $40 for this month for my account. In addition, all these boxes that I'm sending to the warehouse, I'm going to have to pay my shipping fees. Whatever my balance is what's either going to be given to my checking account or taken away from my checking account. Plus and minuses, the profits and losses, all kind of accumulate in your Amazon seller account. And then every 2 weeks, the final balance is either going to be withdrawn or given to you in your banking account. How many months does Amazon initially charge for the Pro account? It's only 1 at a time. So if you have your free account, you're not charged at all. And then you got 1 month. You're just paying per month. Do I sell it on Amazon or eBay or where?
Outside.
Outside?
Yes.
Garage sale?
Yeah.
I've never had a garage sale.
Well, we can make one.
Oh. Well, what do I do now when I go into my office then?
Stuff. What does a crafting table look like?
A what?
A crafting table.
That's Minecraft. I don't craft on my computer. Is that what you think I do all day, is Minecraft? Does Amazon put any restrictions on new sellers and for how long? The only restrictions that I think you really have is, the gated categories. I can't really think of any other restrictions that they place on you. That's not true. There is one, because you're allowed to have so many items in the warehouse. And as you, like, say you got into private label and you were having huge quantities sent into the warehouse, hopefully you're selling your products every 30, 60, or 90 days. So you're not just, accumulating and using your max amount of numbers offered. But I guess you could, so say you were allowed 5,000 items in your account at the warehouses, you could max out, I suppose, and you would need to get approval to get higher volume numbers. So the other way I can think of that might hurt you is if you have a new account, people buying your goods may be less apt to buy from you. I don't think it'll hurt you too bad. FBA holds your funds for a certain amount of time at first and start releasing them sooner once you're established. No, you're paid every 2 weeks with Amazon. There's no holding of funds. I know with eBay and PayPal, they hold your funds for longer until you're established. It's not that way with Amazon. They put money in your account as soon as someone pays. Nope, it's every 2 weeks. You need to use PayPal. PayPal is eBay, not Amazon. Amazon is direct to your checking account. Do they take their fees up front or require you to pay a monthly invoice like eBay does? Not invoice you, it's every 2 weeks, the profits and the losses like we talked about. It would be wise to only list a certain amount of goods at first to see what is going to sell. I think I would take some time at first to learn about ranking, to learn about, how that demonstrate how fast an item is going to sell, to take some time to learn about products in general and profit margins. If all of this is business concepts is new to you, then I might take a moment to learn that. What I see happen with a lot of beginners when is they get 5 items and they list their 5 items in Amazon, and then they sit and they watch those 5 items, and then they say, well, nothing sells, this isn't for me. Not really understanding that maybe they had the wrong products, or maybe, it was a product that is a slower sell. I sell a lot of books. I love selling books. The books trickle in and I get this really nice foundation of monthly income from my books. But if I was a beginner and I listed 5 books and then I sat and waited for them to sell, and like 2 days passed and I'm like, well, they didn't sell, this isn't for me. Do you see where that would be misleading? Because my books are more long tail. It might take me 3 months to sell a book title, depending on the title, depending on the ranking, depending on a lot of things, right? Whereas a toy category, toys typically sell a lot faster. So you would need to have a basic understanding about what categories sell faster, what products in those categories sell faster. Go to eBay bestsellers, go to Amazon bestsellers, find out what the bestsellers are. Go to Google Trends, find out what is trending right now. Are you getting ready to go into fourth quarter? Around August, you want to start thinking about putting a lot of Christmas type items in your inventory to sell, so you can be prepared with this bulk of inventory that's just going to sell really fast for you fourth quarter. So these are all things that I would spend time learning about, and then I would just list and list and list and list, and I wouldn't worry about it. I don't look at my products but once a month. So 30 days passes, I'll get on there, I'll look. I'll see what sold rapidly, what is still sitting there. Do I need to lower my prices? Do I need to run a promo? Do I need to run a sale? What's going on? And then I look at it. I don't sweat it. I don't watch it every day. What do I do for a living?
I don't know.
You don't know what I do for work?
Oh, YouTube.
YouTube?
It was Tuesday, that'd be the Tracy Tuesday tips.
Well, that's YouTube. But YouTube's just teaching people about what I do.
Yes.
But what I do is not YouTube. I do
Amazon, YouTube videos.
eBay. Is there an amount that would be too little to list? Is there an amount that would be too much to list for a new seller? Is there a rough estimate on how much would give a successful launch? When you are starting and you're trying to figure out how much to invest in your company and you're trying to figure out how much to invest in inventory, how much product you need to send in, what type of product you need to send in, it's all very overwhelming. So my advice is to start with the FBA account. I did merchant fulfilled at first. I did it for like 30 days and then I switched over. If you're really serious about this, then I would start with FBA because it's hands down a world apart. Also, if you're going to be doing that, that means you need to be selling 40 items a month. But I'm kind of in the mindset, if you're not going to be selling at least 40 items a month, then why bother? Why are you doing this? We're not doing this because we want to work for free. We're doing this to turn a profit. So you need to be selling more than 40 items per month, which pays for your FBA account. So you need FBA. You need to be selling at least 40 items a month. Now, if you watch my video where I talk about what do you need monthly income, so if I need $2,000 of monthly income, then I'm going to triple that, right? I need $6,000 of listed value. You're going to have a percentage that sell right away. Then you're going to have a percentage that sells at 30, 60, 90, 120 days. And then you might have a percentage of items that are more long tail that sell later. And then you have a percentage of items that may never sell, right? So that's real business. There's not a store out there that sells 100% of everything right away. It's really hard. It's what we all strive for. I think starting up eBay, if you have a computer and a phone and a printer, which most of us do at home, Amazon does require that you have a laser printer. I have a printing video. I use the Brother. That's pretty much what I tell everybody to start with because it's like $70 at Walmart. And that toner cartridge, I just now replaced it. So I don't know how long ago that video was, a year, but it's a workhorse. It has worked for me for a year and I haven't had to replace the cartridge. And when I did, it was $40. Now those little ink cartridges cost you, $50 and you're replacing them every 6 weeks. So I love the Brother. And it's just worth it. Like I would never use an inkjet for Amazon anyway now because it doesn't make sense. Amazon doesn't want you to. They have a tendency to run or smear. But it's just so much more economical to use the Brother versus trying to use an inkjet. Anyway, so if you have a printer, a computer, and a smartphone, you really have $100 of supplies that you need to start off with. And I made a list because there was actually a question about that. So if that was your question, I'm just going to go ahead and answer it. Some supplies that I thought you should definitely have is Avery labels, right, to put on your Amazon packages, filler to put in your boxes, tape, packing tape, and get the good stuff like duck. Don't even bother with the cheap stuff because you'll just throw it away and have to rebuy it anyway. You need boxes, but you can get those for free. If you haven't seen those videos, I have videos on that. You do need a good shipping scale, but they're really inexpensive. So you can get a shipping scale for $20. What I've learned with time is if I could redo it, I would get the large platform shipping scales for the big boxes because I have, those big Amazon boxes and I put on this little tiny, I'm trying to like balance it and then I'm trying to peek under it and like hit for it to freeze so that I can move my box real quick and see how much it weighs. And so that's kind of a pain. If I could redo it, I would get the large platform that the box sits nicely on. And then some of them have the little wires that come off, and then it has this little, screen that you can read that says the weight completely independent of the scale. It's just like an extension of the scale. And Avery labels, printer paper, and a scanning app is a must. Please, please, please don't take on this business without a smartphone and a scanning app because as long as I've been doing this, I realize how many mistakes I would make if I didn't have my scanning app. I won't even buy a product without scanning it first. It has saved my butt so many times. So inventory is going to cost you anywhere from $500 to $1,000 to start, and that depends on how you acquire it. Are you going to garage sales? Are you going to thrift stores? Are you trying to do retail arbitrage? Are you doing private label? Everything is going to have a different price point per product. And depending on how you're, accumulating your inventory is going to be how much. But I'd say max $1,000 to start. I started with 200. So, and I started with garage sales. And kind of a natural pyramid, I guess, would be that you would start with garage sales, then you would go to thrift stores, then you would go to retail stores, retail arbitrage and such. You would probably explore different things like auctions and flea markets. And then you start to realize that you really want to scale your business. And it's a lot of work to source for inventory all the time. At first, it's fun, but then after a while, you want to continue to grow, and you kind of grow out of that business model online and try online arbitrage. You're forced to do wholesale, trade shows. You get into private label, some of those higher level things. And that seems to be the progression with most sellers. I know some that jump right into private label. I know some that won't ever touch that. They're going to garage sell forever. So it's a personal preference on how much money you want to make. How big do you want to get? Inventory would be one. Two would be your tools and supplies, which we talked about. And three would be any training that you needed, because it's really worth it. Like if you have $100 to spend in books or a course or a coach or whatever you're going to do. And I don't just say that because I coach. I mean, really, it could be one question that could save you $100. One coaching session that might save you 4 months of time. To be able to grow a lot faster because you have so much information at your disposal. Right, I forgot what question we were on. Little to list or too much to list? No. It all depends on what you're trying, what your objective is. My objective is to make as much money as humanly possible. So I want to have a lot of inventory, but I want to have inventory that's selling fast. I don't want it just to be collecting dust. So I have to have a lot of the right inventory. How long before a new seller could expect to see a profit, given they've done their homework and have researched and listed good inventory? Well, I would say right away. Like I said, there's a percentage of my product that sells the instant it becomes live on the Amazon warehouse. So it takes about a week by the time I send it off at my UPS store until the time they get it and they scan it all in. My listings are live and I'm starting to see sales. It's about 7 days for me. It would be sales, not necessarily profit. Charges and some seller account charges, you would need to have enough sales to offset that. For me, I'm only worried about the end dollar amount. I'm only worried, did I make the money that I needed to make this month? And did I make more sales this month than I made last month? So again, if you're not scanning your product, then you could be choosing the wrong product from the very beginning. It needs to be, you need to be able to scan it, say it's $10. I need to then go and look on Amazon and make sure that I can sell it for $30. It needs to be 3 times, the 3 times rule. It needs to have a smaller ranking. It needs to be under 100,000, except for books or fourth quarter. Those are about the only 2 times I'll break that rule, because it'll sell too slow. The best way to do it is to choose product that has a ranking under 50,000, because those items are going to sell faster. You found a percentage of how much of what you send in goes unsold. Have you found a pattern that you could apply to your formula of how much to list, or have you already done that? Now, we all know, as we talked about, that there's a percentage that doesn't sell. So that percentage is going to be different. But actually, as I'm answering these questions, I'm like, I feel like I have to have disclaimer, disclaimer, disclaimer at the end of every question, because there are so many factors that go into answering these, because it depends on where you live, what type of person you are, what type of products you're sourcing, what type of account that you have, how on top of it you are. Did you scan? What type of ranking are you going for? Did you look at the competition? You can see it's just, there's so much. But I know how hard it is to begin, and I really want to be as open with you as I can. And so I'm just going to kind of pop some numbers out. And please don't beat me over the head with this if your numbers have been different. Many people think, oh, I'm going to send in these 10 items, all 10 are going to sell, and this is going to be my profit, not realizing that not all of them are going to sell. Not all of them are going to sell this month. And you might have to take, do some sales, lower the prices on them. So I would say when I first send in a box, 100% of my goods hits the warehouse immediately, probably about 30% will sell right away. Then the next, 3 or 4 months, I'm going to get a trickling of sales, and that would probably be another 40%, I'd say. So now we're at about 70%. And then I have some long tail items, 10, 15%. Now the remaining 15% of my goods may never sell. So you either have to A, have them destroyed, or B, you have to have them sent back to you. I have had items that didn't sell. I had them sent back to me before I got any long-term storage fees, and then tried to sell on a different forum like eBay or Etsy. I've had some items that I looked at and thought, what was I thinking? Because I had grown as a seller, and the way I looked at inventory had grown, and I would never have chosen that product again if I were to find it in this store. So today's video was helpful to you, which I hope it was. Please go ahead and thumbs up, comment down below. I love that we can all communicate down below. It's not just my channel, it's our channel. So please just go ahead and answer other people's comments and questions, and just keep making it this amazing family that it is. I appreciate you guys, and I see you every Tuesday and Thursday, so I will see you on Thursday.